That's Annie. You know, it's Brenda.
What?
Brenda.
Her name is Brenda?
Did she tell you she was married before?
Is she still married?
The paperwork. She's not. The divorce hasn't been dissolved.
But if Clayton's not here, you're not going to get married?
I signed the pre-nup. One condition.
Oh, you have a condition?
My condition is just you adopt officially Clayton Samuel's son.
So today is Mark's 59th birthday, and after Mina makes him some very sad-looking crepes, the family are off to Boston to celebrate. But whilst in the car, Mina reveals that whilst her brother and her son were meant to be coming for the wedding, unfortunately, Clayton's paperwork still hasn't arrived.
We thought Mina's son, Clayton, would just be able to come with Mina on her K-1 visa, but he needs his own passport. It's just being delayed. The plan was for her brother to bring him.
Mina, completely understandably, wants her son at her wedding. She feels like it's essential that he's there so that he's not left feeling like she's moving on to a new life without him. Now, she asks Mark if they can push their wedding date back, but that's not going to be possible. Her K-1 visa would expire, and that now leaves Mina in a very difficult position. She now needs to choose between proceeding with the wedding, proceeding with a future with Mark, or looking out for her son, trying to protect his feelings.
But if Clayton's not here, you're not going to get married? Baby, if you're thinking you won't get married, that means, you know what that means. That means if Clayton doesn't come, you're going back to France.
If Mina decides not to marry Mark during this visit, then their relationship might end. She'll have to leave America, she'll have to go back to France, and it'll be very, very difficult for her to come back to the States. But the problem is, Mina isn't in a position to make a rational decision right now. Like, her thought process is being dictated by emotion rather than logic. She's imagining her son all alone in another country, feeling like his mum and his sister have abandoned him. But it's at that point, with all of these thoughts no doubt going through Mina's mind, that Mark decides to make one thing very clear.
We probably have to start over. I don't know. But Maria stays with me.
If we split up, if you're going to go back to France, says Mark, I want our daughter, baby Maria, to stay here with me. Now, on the one hand, you can understand that Mark has a big home, he's financially stable, and of course there's no doubting he loves his daughter, he wants her there with him. But let's not forget, Mark is a pilot. He works away from home for weeks at a time. I think he's lying to himself if he thinks that that's a suitable environment in which to raise a small child.
She's an American citizen. She has a passport.
I don't care. I'm going to France. You marry a new woman for Cameroon.
Oh, come on.
No, Mark, it's not about whether or not she has an American citizenship or an American passport. This is a small baby, a toddler, a 2-year-old who spent her entire life being raised and loved by her mum, right? She's never left her mum's side. So I'm sorry, but I don't think that baby should now be split or separated from her mother. Now, for what it's worth, Mina doesn't want to leave Mark. She wants to get married, but she also doesn't want her son to feel like he's abandoned her. And I think it says a lot that she's already made up her mind that she will give Mark the prenup that he and his family want. But, as we saw in the last episode, that comes with strings attached. She wants to use the prenup as leverage to ensure that her son's future is also secured.
Je vais essayer de lui dire aujourd'hui, cette nuit, pour l'adoption de Clayton.
Mina wants her future husband to adopt Clayton so that he can feel part of the family. She wants her son, Mark's future stepson, to have the same privileges, the same guarantees that all of Mark's other kids have. Now, I don't think that that's a crazy ask. I mean, if Mark is truly ready to marry Mina, then he must already know and understand that he will be acting as a father figure for her other child. Like, that shouldn't come as a big shock to him. Now, as far as the whole argument about Maria's concerned, well, they're arguing about something that hasn't or may not ever happen. right? That's very different to the Clayton issue. The Clayton issue is far more likely to happen. The wheels are in motion for it to happen, and as a result, Mina is adamant. She has a very clear sense of what now needs to be done.
Accepte pas, on va fixer le papier, on va faire comment on va faire, mais moi je retourne auprès de mon enfant et avec Maria.
Yeah, this may not have been the best start to Mark's birthday, let's be honest. And Mina is aware that what she's asking for sounds like an ultimatum. Adopt a son that isn't biologically yours, or I'm gonna leave you and take your daughter with me. But, for as harsh as it may sound, that is the reality of the situation. Now, once they arrive in Boston, they do both agree to put aside their argument for the time being. But while the Maria argument may be shelved, Mina vows that she will be raising the issue of Clayton's adoption tonight at dinner.
Et je veux pas que, après, peut-être dans la famille, peuvent trouver ça ridicule par rapport au papier. Simplement, je veux que l'enfant il se sente aussi accepté.
Look, we've all seen with our own eyes just how much Jordan sees Mina and Maria and the threat of more kids as a direct threat to her and her inheritance. She's already tried to dictate to her dad and Mina that they shouldn't have any more kids. So you've got to imagine the idea of her dad adopting Clayton and further diluting her share of his wealth probably isn't gonna sit too well with her. But the truth is, whether Jordan likes it or not, this isn't about her. It's about Mark and Mina and what's best for them, right? And as a result, while they're sat at the restaurant having their dinner, Mina finally plucks up the courage to lay her cards on the table.
I signed the pre-nup. One condition.
Oh, you have a condition?
My condition is just you adopt officially Clayton Samuel's son.
Everything rests on Mark's answer. Their entire future depends on what he says next. If his answer is no, then Mina's gonna pack her bags, take Maria with her, and head off back to France to be with Clayton. But if Mark says yes, well, then he'll no doubt receive some backlash from his own family. But while there's undoubtedly a lot at stake here, what's lovely to see is that Mark's answer is emphatic.
No, I already was planning to adopt Clayton.
Really?
Clayton is such a great kid. I tell my family I have 4 kids all the time.
Good for you, Mark. This is exactly the right attitude to have. If you're gonna marry a single mother, then it will be your responsibility to also love and care for the child that they bring with them. Like, you can't separate the two. You can't only love the mother and not the child. So that being the case, adoption is only a legal formality. Like, it shouldn't really change anything, should it? Now, for what it's worth, Mark seems relieved that that was Mina's only prenup condition. He was clearly worried that it was going to be something else, something that he wasn't already planning to do anyway. But as for Mina, well, she couldn't be happier. She's elated that Mark is willing to adopt Clayton. And seeing this, seeing her emotions, makes Mark get emotional. In fact, he begins to share something that he's clearly been bottling up for all this time.
I have no control over the product. I feel like I let you down because I haven't been able to...
Okay.
I haven't been able to get him here.
Mark has felt terrible that he hasn't been able to do more to get Clayton to America faster. Like, he feels helpless and he feels guilty for separating mother and child. But, as he correctly points out, it is out of his control. There's not much that he can do, given that he's not Clayton's dad, biologically or legally. And I think that's the perfect example. Like, that just perfectly highlights how important it will be when the time comes that he does get some legal rights, that he can legally be Clayton's father.
No second did I not want to adopt him. For a kid to have a father that teaches him the importance of things in life, I just want to do that for Clayton.
So it turns out that Mina had nothing to worry about, but it is nice to reiterate the fact that they are on the same page. They love each other, they want to be married, and they want Clayton to be an integral part of their family. It's now just a matter of getting him to the States. But speaking of being in a different country, let's catch catch up with the most toxic relationship of this season. So we join 2/3 of our throuple as they've secretly gone to meet Annie's ex-boyfriend to try and get some information from him. Sounds healthy, right? A healthy, loving throuple. Yeah, right. But when they do finally meet up with Annie's ex, his appearance takes them all by surprise.
He's this mysterious figure, but
He's just like this tiny little guy. Like, he's tinier than I thought.
Ray is, how do I put this? He's not how I imagined Annie's ex to look. Let's just leave it at that. Now, outward appearance aside, the truth is this meeting is for Matt and Amani to get answers. Answers that Annie hasn't been honest about. The first of which is whether she's actually told anyone that she's in a relationship with the pair of them.
I've only found out about you guys through social media.
Only by social media. It's not like she came to you and said, hey, I'm in a serious relationship.
Nope.
I mean, is anyone surprised? Annie seems to have kept these two hidden from everyone. I think it's becoming very clear that she's not sure whether or not she wants to join their weird little broken marriage throuple. She clearly has hesitations, right? Hence why she's kept them a secret. And what Ray says next, his own experiences from dating Annie, further reiterate that Annie isn't fully committed.
For me, it felt genuine when we were together. I mean, I met her daughter.
Yeah, I know.
And I met all her kids, actually.
You met the other kids too?
Just
Well,
very
yeah,
serious.
absolutely. She trusts me.
Uh-oh, Matt and Amani haven't been given that same privilege. They haven't met all of Annie's children, and you can tell that that is bothering them both. Now, we already know that Amani is a very jealous person, so no surprises there. But it says a lot that Matt isn't taking this news well either.
It was crazy to hear that his relationship far surpassed ours in some manners, because like he's met all of her children, and it's obviously he knew her way better than we do.
Yeah, it's obvious that he knows her better than you do, because you don't know her at all, Matt. Sorry, but let's just call this for what it is, right? This relationship, if you can even call it that, is the culmination of a drunk night out on vacation where you and your wife ended up in a strip club and then both fell in love with a stripper. I don't know what fantasies you've both been telling yourselves, but Annie isn't the missing piece to your broken puzzle, and frankly, you're not all that special for her. Like, hilariously, Ray also reveals that he met Annie at the strip club too, which raises the question, is it a coincidence or a pattern that Annie keeps on getting into relationships with Americans that she met at her club? I don't know, I'll leave that for you to answer. But it's at this point that Ray then drops another bombshell.
I saw Annie. You know, it's Brenda.
What?
Brenda.
Her name is Brenda?
What the f***? Matt and Amani don't even know Annie's real name. Doesn't that tell you everything you need to know about this? Like, according to Ray, the name on her ID is actually Brenda. So what has Annie actually been truthful about? I mean, look, for as much as I dislike Matt and Amani, and I have made my feelings very clear since the very first video that I made about them back in episode 1, but for as strong as my feelings are for them, right, you've got to ask the question, why is Annie even with them if she hasn't even been honest about something as basic as her own name?
she didn't mention for a whole year. I don't know how to look at her again and call her Brenda. It's like not knowing the person you're dating anymore.
Now, here's the thing. I think that by this point, we can all start to see that perhaps Annie isn't in this relationship for the right reasons. Maybe it's the money that Amani's splashing on her. Perhaps it's the chance to move to America. Whatever her motives, right? Can someone answer me this? Why is it that even after knowing that, why do I still not feel even the slightest bit sorry for Matt and Amani?
Just so you know how serious it is, we came on this trip to Mexico to get answers, but also planning to propose to her at the end of this.
Yeah.
Ooh.
We have to divorce to marry this woman, by the way.
Sorry, but you willingly put yourselves in that situation. You wanted to get divorced even though everyone told you what a stupid idea that was. Like, this is a lot of information to be dumping on poor old Ray. His face says it all. Like, it's not his problem or anyone else's problem for that matter that these two are willing to go on TV and commit K1 visa fraud for someone they barely even know. I mean, Annie isn't even willing to admit that she's dating them yet, let alone marry them. And these two better hold their horses. watches, because you know what? Ray has yet more secrets to reveal.
Did she tell you she was married before?
She did.
Okay, so maybe.
Yeah.
Is she still married?
The paperwork, she's not, the divorce hasn't been dissolved.
Okay.
Right, so now we're hearing that Annie herself is still married. Can you just imagine the scenes if Matt and Amani had got divorced in a bid to marry Annie, only to then discover that Annie herself needs a divorce too? Like, I just don't think this can get any messier. It's so clear that they don't know her at all.
Here we are here talking about a divorce, and she hasn't had her own divorce yet.
I opened my life to her. I introduced her to my children, and she's just lied about everything.
This might sound harsh, but it really does feel like Amani and Matt are now getting their just desserts. For all that crap that they were trying to feed us at the start about this not being about sex, about how thruples are misunderstood and it's a deeper spiritual connection that they all have, it turns out that they're wrong. This is just what you get. This is what you deserve when you leave your kids behind in order to go to another country to chase tail. But rather than take this for what it is, rather than look inward and address her own shortcomings, Amani, a furious Amani, calls Annie to come and meet them. She wants answers, and she wants them now. And when Annie arrives, the welcome is, frosty.
Welcome.
Hi, Brenda.
Gosh, it's about to get very awkward. Now, interestingly, Annie doesn't seem all that surprised to see Ray there, so maybe she knew about this meetup. Maybe she realised that she was about to walk into the lion's den. Either way, prepared or not, she better have some answers. She better have some good answers, because if she doesn't, you get the feeling her cash cow, the lady that she says she loves and who's been sending her money every month for all this time, might be about to cut her off.